Hello, one and all. This is WellArmedWithTacos. Welcome back to Sorry, wrong thing. Welcome back to I'm gonna get this right the third time. Welcome back to Stories from Sector 10, the Warhammer 40k podcast slash Warhammer Fantasy podcast. There's not much fantasy anymore. I have 3 stories to tell today, and I'm going to separate them into 3 different videos. The first 2 stories, or at the very least, the first story should go very quickly. The other 2 should take a little longer because my memory of the first game is fading. I played it a week ago. I played this game last Sunday, and unfortunately, it was right around that time I got very sick. You'll notice in some of my recordings around the time. I got sick, and for my Let's Play videos, there's at least some kind of visual gameplay going on in the background as some kind of attraction to it. But for these podcast videos, since all it is me talking over pictures, I really wanted to do these with my voice at full capacity, in full condition. So I didn't want to record this while my voice wasn't feeling good. And by the time I finally healed up, I got busy, and I'm just now getting around to having the time to get these videos done. I've been so busy that last night a video didn't even go up, which is rare for my channel, rare for it being my fault. So I'm hoping to fix that with 3 of these story videos. Probably not going to do all of them tonight, but I'll try. And hopefully I can get these done and have enough memory, and I will try to upload the pictures for these. I am trying to improve my editing capabilities. I still have the black boxes on the pictures, unfortunately. I can't get rid of those to my knowledge. But I can take the black boxes as an opportunity to use the basic Movie Maker editing software to include text on the bottom in those black boxes about the events that's going on. At least I think I can. I'm going to try that. So, this first story, this is an interesting story for me, and it's unfortunate that my memory of it will be very fading, but at least it was a quick game, so I should be able to get the important stuff out of the way. The pictures will probably remember more than I do, so I do have them open for me here, but I will be putting them in the video as well for you guys, so you can see what's going on. It is the same terrain as it was last week in the last videos, and today's weeks are the same terrain, so that'll be the same as well. We are getting a new table next week, I think, so that should be a small change of pace, but it is still the same terrain. So 3 different players, 3 different armies, well, 2 different armies, at least for opponents wise. This first game I played against Tau. More specifically, I played against my own Tau. There is a player who plays 40k, is very experienced in 40k, has been playing 40k longer than I do, or longer than I have, and has no armies. He tends to sell the armies he gets because he has this strange thing where food is more important than gaming. I don't quite understand the concept behind that, but I'm trying to. And it's a little confusing for me, but apparently he values eating or something like that. I don't quite get it. I'm being sarcastic. He's not rolling in dough. So he plays 40k, but he usually borrows other people's armies, which is fine. He borrowed my Tau in this instance because he wanted to prove to me and the other begrudging Tau player that the 8th edition Tau book didn't suck. I lost this game, but he failed to prove that Tau sucked. He won this game because my dice rolls were tremendously bad, and his dice rolls were tremendously good. Tremendously. We had a peanut gallery going on, people were watching the game, and everybody was in awe about how good his dice rolls were treating him. So, here's what I did. Here's how this is interesting for me. I played a new army for this game. When 8th edition came out, I should start this. I know you're not my therapist, but this actually started back in 5th edition. But actually, the more and more I think about it, this is 8th problem. 8th edition introduced something to Space Marines called Primaris. Primaris Marines are better Marines for the same point cost as regular Marines. They are objectively better as far as I'm concerned. I've heard some arguments that the special weapons and heavy weapons the regular Marines could take makes them better, but in my opinion, having a better stat line makes you objectively better because you're better for a generalized situation, and that's how I play for. So, I have a massive Space Marine army. It's massive to me. It's at the point where I don't want to purchase any new models for them because it's done. All of a sudden comes Primaris, and Primaris basically says you need to reboot your army because not only do you need Primaris, you need a lot as Primaris. It's basically a new army, and if they released it as its own codex, I wouldn't be complaining. But in my opinion, they basically crippled regular Marines in the old Marine codex, in their own codex. And for a long time, I didn't play Space Marines anymore. However, it occurred to me that there is still an army that uses Marines and doesn't have Primaris Marines and gives benefits to its regular Marines that puts them on par with Primaris Marines. And that is the army I played. For the first time in my Warhammer 40k career, I have fallen to Chaos. And by Chaos, it's more of a Renegade chapter. But I played Chaos. I played Chaos Space Marines for all intents and purposes. I used the Chaos Space Marine Codex for rules. Because that way, I can still take the same old tacticals, but unlike the other Marine units, I get icons that make myself better, and the Legion rules are just straight up better, in my opinion, than the chapters. It's better to be a Legion than a chapter. So, other than that, Havocs are basically the same as old school Devastators. The tanks are almost basically exactly the same, with the exclusion of Land Raiders, who Chaos Space Marines only have one choice as opposed to three. Raptors are the same as Assault Marines. It's basically the old school Codex Space Marine that I used to play, copy paste, and it was very nice to be able to play a Space Marine army again without feeling pressured into having to bring Primaris or not play. So I brought Chaos. I call them a Renegade chapter, but it is Codex Chaos Space Marines for all rule purposes. I brought Black Legion, and I brought Icons of Vengeance, and I didn't align anybody except for my Sorcerer who took a mark as each. Everybody else was unmarked. So I was Chaos undecided, basically except for one Sorcerer. And the reason I did that is so I can take Icons of Vengeance, which gave myself Leadership 10 across the board, which was an interesting way to play Space Marines. Admittingly, it didn't matter in this game. So, we played 50 PowerPoints. I brought a Chaos Lord, a Chaos Sorcerer, both in standard armor. I brought 3 units of Marines, one of them at 10, the other 2 at 9, although they cost the same amount because it's PowerPoints. And the reason I cut the 2 down to 9 is because I bought 3 Rhinos. So I had a Rhino with a unit in it, a Rhino with a unit in HQ, and a Rhino with a unit in HQ. And that was my entire 50-point army. I brought 2 specialist weapons in each gun. I brought the combi melta or nice not melta, just the standard melta gun and the plasma gun. And then my vehicles all took the combi stuff because it's free upgrades. Chaos Rhinos have a lot more firepower than Space Marine Rhinos, I can tell you that much. I played against Tau, who was using my Tau, because he wanted to make an example of me. He brought my unpainted breachers that I refused to paint because I hate breachers. He brought 3 units of strike teams. He brought 2 Skyray gunships. And he brought a unit of Pathfinders and a Chasseur. I believe that's everything he brought. So, right off the bat, he's able to bring 2 Skyray gunships, which are heavy options to this 50-point game, while I'm basically stuck to my standard battalion, like my minimal battalion list. So, he is definitely point cost outmatching me in point cost. The thing about this game is this game ended twice. Once it ended for me, or once it ended for him, and then it ended for me. I go first. My Rhinos advance. Because I am Black Legion, I can advance and still shoot. And my Rhinos start taking shots at things. I don't do too much damage, but I don't expect them to. His turn 1, he only pops one of the Rhinos and wounds one of them and ignores the other one. And there was some objective shenanigans going on in this game. We didn't play open war. We played Maelstrom with tactical cards. I don't remember which mission it was, and unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to go into detail about the objectives because I barely remember what happened. But I'll talk about what happened during the regular part of the game. So that's what happened. His turn 1, he just shot back at me, as you would expect. My turn 2, I should have had him. I had my hands around his neck and then just let go. My units that were in the rhinos pop out. My unit that was out of the rhino, I think I had 1 Marine dead, just about full strength. And it was a unit that didn't even have an HQ in it. So, one of my rhinos charges his Pathfinder unit. If it's just so that they have to fall back or just stay there forever and they can't shoot. So that combat basically cancels each other out to the point where I'm no longer concerned about the rhino and he's no longer concerned about the Pathfinders, and we ignore that part of the board basically for the rest of the game. All 3 of my tactical marine units charge and make it to combat. As Tau, that should have been his death knell. My entire army had a 100%, excluding the extra rhinos, but who cares? I had a 100% charge rate. Charge success. Everything I had was in combat, which is ideal. That's the best situation you could possibly hope for. Here's where things went bad. I said I had terrible dice rolls this whole game, and that was true. And once I made it into close combat, I completely whiffed. I whiffed. Completely. Terribly whiffed. I think I killed, 3 fire warriors, but, between all the units, that's it. I charged his Skyray gunship with my lord with the black mace to try to punch it, and my sorcerer, who broke free of one of the other units to try to damage it. And the 2 units, or 1 unit charged in with me, into the Skyray, and then 1 unit charged the strike team, and the other unit charged the strike team. So I had his Skyray locked in combat, and 2 of his strike team units locked in combat, and then of course the Pathfinders, the Rhino. I don't do any wounds to the Skyray, not even with my black mace, and then my two units don't do any damage to it, or my unit with me doesn't do any damage to it, and then the 2 units barely do anything to the strike team, and that's when I knew I lost. The Tau player kept telling me he thought I had a chance, but very soon he saw what I could already see. I had basically done nothing to hurt his firepower, and now I was out of my rhinos. So this game actually went on to turn 5, even though what this happened turn 2. This game went on to turn 5. But the only reason it did that is because it took him that long to finally put me down. But since turn 2, I was a wounded animal. By the time this game was done, his breacher team was completely unwounded. One of his strike teams was completely unwounded. He had a Cadre Fireblade, I forgot to mention, completely unwounded, and one of his Skyrays completely unwounded. Essentially, what just happened is he took shots at me. I did take out his other Skyray eventually. I took out his Chasseau because my lord charged his Chasseau and one hit him, took him out. The only 2 dudes I had left standing for a while, he killed all of my units, and then it was just a matter of my lord and my sorcerer and the rhinos, which don't count because they were done. But after that had happened, my lord just buckled down, and my lord ended up killing more of the Tau army by himself when he and the sorcerer were the only ones left alive that my marines killed that whole game. When he was the only one left standing, he decided to show those guys how it was done, and he did a hurting, but unfortunately he didn't do enough of a hurting, and I got table turn 5. Again, excluding rhinos, but who cares. 1 rhino was dead, the other rhino was locked in combat with Pathfinders, and the other remaining rhino had 2 wounds left of its 10. It was moving 3 inches and shooting at the meeting 5s and 6s. So that was a lost cause. I definitely got tabled. It just took him a while to finally put me down like a wounded animal, but he had so much death that wasn't even scathed that it was nowhere near close. Absolutely nowhere near close. But his dice were exceptional, and my dice were not. And sometimes that's all it comes down to. I don't mind losing when it's because of dice rolls. I mind losing because your list is cheese. But his list was not cheese. I didn't feel that way it was. I should have had him by the throat when I made those charges. I should have killed those units and then moved out. And then he would have lacked firepower, and then I would have just been able to deal with him. But unfortunately, that's not how it happened. I made it into combat and just whiffed. Actually, one of my units, he killed more of my Marines than I killed of his fire warriors. That's how bad it was. In close combat. In combat. He killed more of mine than I did of his. That's how bad I whiffed. My dice went completely against me. And it happens, but it sucks when it does happen. So, that was my first experience playing Chaos. So, thank you all for listening. I don't have anything else to say about this one. I'll get these pictures done. These videos actually take a lot of editing with the pictures. So, I hope you guys appreciate these. And I will be using these now as an excuse for daily uploads. I missed a video upload, as I said yesterday. I will be uploading the single Let's Play video. I will not be doing a double upload because I'm uploading 3 of these bad boys. And the freaking editing on these takes forever. And frankly, they're long. And as much as I like doing them, content on my channel is content on my channel. And if you don't like it, well then, actually, please feel free to say something because I value your opinion. But for the time being, I'm going to do it like this. So, thank you all for listening. And I'll be back with another story as soon as I take a sip of water. Bye-bye. And the moral of this story is, Chaos dice suck. I think that's the moral. Yeah, I'll go with that.